the news coming out of FIFA and the White House was just utterly bonkers and just added to that whole sense of the day being the day being mad. And I just felt that FIFA owed us a bit of an explanation.
Now, the USA has been knocked out of the World Cup by Belgium in a 4-1 defeat. And the Belgian midfielder, Hugo Rifkind, says the victory was fueled by a sense of injustice. That's because America's star striker was allowed to play despite a one-match ban, seemingly in part, at least, because of a phone call from Donald Trump.
All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was two great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face or anything that, would be different.
Well, Donald Trump also said he didn't think it should have been a red card, while also admitting that he hadn't previously known what a red card was. The boss of FIFA, football's world governing body, says the decision was above board. But Caroline Dinenage, chair of the Commons Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, has written to FIFA demanding answers. And she joins me now. Hello, Caroline.
Hello. I know I haven't written to FIFA, but I do think that they do owe us answers. It seemed like yesterday the whole day was like a fever dream, wasn't it? We all were sort of sleep deprived, having been up early in the morning to watch England game, and the England game was just so mind-bending in its brilliance that we were sort of all pinching ourselves for the rest of yesterday. And then the news coming out of FIFA and the White House was just utterly bonkers and just added to that whole sense of the day being the day being mad. And I just felt that FIFA owed us a bit of an explanation. Did it
mean you had to stay up late again to cheer on Belgium?
Well, I think we all were. And, when Belgium tweeted out at the fourth goal, when Belgium tweeted out overturn this, I think we all celebrated internally for that as well.
So, look, Donald Trump says he asked Infantino to review the red card. FIFA says the decision was made by independent judicial bodies and they operate autonomously. Would I be right in thinking you maybe have your doubts about that?
I do have my doubts about this. I mean, there is an independent review process. They do sometimes retrospectively change decisions, but they don't defer them. And this is unusual. And I think for sport to mean anything at all, its rules and laws have got to be applied equally to everybody. So, we've all had decisions go against us, sometimes that we feel questionable. There have been red cards. I said tongue-in-cheek yesterday, maybe Keir Starmer should be on the phone to Infantino trying to unpick Jarell Quantz's red card to try and level the playing field for us. But, at the end of the day, there are rules and we have to abide by them. The fact is, as you say, President Trump didn't know what a red card was until this week, and maybe he's now coming alive to the kind of trauma of what it means to be a soccer fan that we all know and love.
Look,
sometimes there are difficult decisions and you just got to live with it.
Much of the world, Caroline, already thinks of FIFA as a sort of intrinsically corrupt governing body when it comes to things like where tournaments are held and who gets to make all the money and so on. But it's a new threshold being crossed when this starts to look like it might affect actually the playing of the game, if the games themselves can be influenced by powerful political figures.
Absolutely. And, and the fact is, the US were thrashed 4-1 by Belgium, so it didn't meaningfully impact the outcome of the game. But had it done, you can see how that would have really just kind of left a bad taste in the mouth about the whole tournament. And UEFA, who are not necessarily always held up as a paragon of virtue, yesterday said that this was unprecedented, unjustifiable and incomprehensible. I've never found myself parroting UEFA, but here we are. I agree.
So, look, we know that the number 10 and the Foreign Office were involved in arguing about the kickoff time for England's match against Mexico, for it not to be moved after FIFA wanted it to be moved. Explain to us why that's qualitatively different.
Well, that was, so the game was scheduled to take place at 1 o'clock in the morning, our time, and then there was talk about moving it forward, by which time I think, it was perfectly reasonable that we argued to keep it the way it was because, lots of people had made arrangements, despite the fact it was an ungodly hour of the day, a lot of people had made arrangements to look at it at that time, and it wasn't meaningfully impacting the outcome of the game. It wasn't bringing a player back on who'd been given a red card. There's a huge difference, isn't there? But, we can't have a system by which political figures can, as much as we'd love to, and we can't have a system by which political figures can pick up the phone to Infantino and change the outcome of a match or a player's fate.
While I've got you, Caroline, you may have heard the news just breaking recently that Nigel Farage is going to make a statement about his future in public life. Do you have any sympathy for his view that the media has focused unfairly and in a manner that's damaged his personal life and his family and so on?
Of course, and this is a job which there is always a huge amount of interest in the personal lives of key figures, and it's part of the job. I guess you just have to put up with it. The fact is, had he, when we go back to this whole theme of abiding by the same rules as everybody else, if he was just fully transparent with where he'd got his money from and what it was for, then I think that we wouldn't be in this position. It's just about living by the rules, being transparent and open and honest with people as possible.
Thank you very much indeed. Caroline Dinenage, the chair of the Commons Media and Sport Committee. Great to speak to you. Thank you.